Kolo Sénégal.
Jana together with son of manga jungle, get the bush at the fire. I left the town to examining a summer. I'm the feet of Mugana.
Today, I told you we're going to talk about the past and the present because it's important that you get to grasp the past and the present first, and then we'll move on to the future tense. And just a recapitulative, I told you that we have 12 sentences, and today we've looked at 8 sentences, or 8 tenses out of the 12 tenses. And so now it's up to you to be able to identify them when you see them in passages. When you listen to them, you need to be able to identify, I was going, what tense is it? You know, I had been, we are, you know, what tense is it? And then, of course, you have to be able to know affirmation, the negative and interrogative sentences, to be able, if they give you, for example, let's say, for example, do you like apples? For example, what will be the negative? What will be the negative? Do you like apples? What will be the negative? I don't like apples. You don't like apples. You like apples. These are different ways of identifying them. You should be able to know them. And of course, when we talk about, you know, these sentences, it brings us to our presentations, our day-to-day talks, a formal talking, you know, because we have the informal and the formal way of addressing someone, of addressing ourselves. So in a way of a formal or day-to-day talking, most often we use the present simple tense just because it's easier, you know. But when we are trying to report something that has passed, of course, we're going to use the ed, the past tense. Of course, we're going to use the ed, which is the past tense, when we're talking about something that has passed, but depending on the story. So it's important that we know that, you know. And then, obviously, it's important that we know when to use a he or she. It's important that we know our verbs, the regular verbs and the irregular verbs. We know that most regular verbs end in ed. We know that certain irregular verbs, depending on how it is, like eat is ate, run, ran, sleep, slept, fight, fought. Those are some of the irregular verbs that we need to be able to identify them without necessarily putting the ed, which makes it incorrect. And then, of course, we need to be able to know the plural, the singular and the plurals when we deal with the present continuous or the present simple with the s and the es. We know that most verbs for the plurals, we add s. Most verbs for the plurals, we add s. But then if it's a verb that, for example, ends with, you know, we know that most verbs for present tense, most verbs, singular, plural, singular and plural, we know that for most verbs, 60% of the verbs, we add an s. We add s for plural. The verbs are there, and then we add an s. For example, play, sleep, walk, work. We add s for plurals, works. But if there are some other examples, if a word, for example, ends with ss, ch, sh, you don't add an s. For example, church. Church, that ends with ch. Kiss, or an x. box. Box. You don't add an S. That's wrong. You don't add an S. You add ES. You add ES. Box. Boxes. Boxes. If it's, these are just words, but if they're verbs, like for example, a verb, you know, for Y, let's look for a word that ends with Y. For plural, you don't add an S. It's wrong. It's I-E-S. You take out the Y is out, and it's I-E-S. For example, fly. David flies the boy 747 every Friday. Flies, it's not with S. That's wrong. It's so wrong. It's F-L-Y and F-L, I'm sorry, and then you add the I-E-S. Flies, the verb. So we have to be careful when we're conjugating here our present simple. I told you we add just the verb or S or ES. So it's important that we know our plurals and our singulars for verbs or just the words. It's important that we know them so that we know what to add, when to add. S, we're going to just think that S just goes for everything, which is totally wrong. There are certain words that you have to remove, like the Y that you have to remove. There's certain words like knife, for example, knife, you know, the plural of knife is not going to be S. That's wrong. It's going to be knives. See, this is out. I'm sorry, I is here. And then you add VES, and you take off the FE and add VES, it becomes knives. So you see that plurals, they change depending on the word, depending on the verb. So be careful when you're conjugating your present simple for the verbs. It changes. It's important that we know that, you know. So it's important that we know that when we go on with it. So we're going to end here for today, and I just hope that we're able to understand, you know, the past and the present. The past, which is what is an event that has happened. Present, which is an event that is going on presently. It's in process. And then able to identify the different forms of affirmation, of negative, of interrogatory, which is like questioning. We should be able to know that interrogatory means it's a question. It means that you have to be able to translate the question, the affirmation, into a question. And of course, that ends with a question mark. Every question ends with a question mark. Please be able, make sure you remember to put your question mark. Punctuations are very, very important in English, else the sentence becomes very flat, and that's not good. It makes the comprehension very, very totally out. And then able to, and we've looked at some of the singular and the plural verbs. And so I hope that in the next class, when I get to give some examples, we'll be able to identify the 8 tenses, which are 4 for past and 4 for simple, or 4 for present. Thank you for your attention, and by God's grace, I'll see you next time. Ciao.
Senegal.